Hi friends, so the much anticipated first of the possibly three contests between India and Pakistan is over in the Asia Cup cricket, and there was a lot of hype and hoopla created by the broadcasters, but most of the neutral fans who have understanding of cricket and who have been following the two teams of late were aware that it was not going to be a real humdinger or a thrilling contest as it was hyped up by the broadcasters, purely to keep the momentum going, to help the revenue to come because of the sponsorship, and also to help sell the tickets. But the neutral fans having some understanding of cricket were aware that there is a glaring daylight between the two teams in terms of talent, skills and pedigree, and India is way ahead of Pakistan right now in any format of cricket we can think of. And even though T20I cricket is supposed to be the shortest format, and the shorter the format the chances of upsets are there is more, but the difference in talent and quality is so much that it was very difficult to expect a really uh, evenly contested game or Pakistan being able to upset India, and that's what happened. It turned out to be a complete washout in terms of contest. India were runaway winners. The match was completely a one-sided affair, and it promises to be the same even if India and Pakistan play again in this tournament as they are expected to in the Super 4. And if by some miracle Pakistan manages to outrun Sri Lanka or Afghanistan and reach the final, and India reaches there, the outcome doesn't seem to be, or won't look like, it doesn't look like to be any different there, because man to man India is much more superior. Of course, there can be shocks and surprises in a sporting contest, and no one can rule out that. But pure logic wise, pure cricketing skill wise, it becomes very tough to expect any upset happening when India and Pakistan plays in the Asia Cup as well as in the near future. At the same time, one is shocked and frustrated and surprised by the kind of complete listless analysis and strategizing by Pakistan, because strategy and preparation is something which doesn't need a real talent in terms of playing 11. You can have any kind of a playing 11 because you don't have a choice, that is the best you have, but you can really lift the game of the to a team and bring the team as close to your opponent by real master planning and by real strategizing if you are smart and you have understanding of the game. And unfortunately Pakistan lacked it, and I'll tell you how people have done it in the past. In the 1990 Football World Cup, Jackie Charlton, the master tactician, came with his Republic of Ireland team, who were considered as the no-hopers in a group which had Netherlands and England. So it was always expected that the two fancy team, Netherlands and England, would qualify for the knockout stage, and Ireland would come back home just like Egypt in that group. But Jackie Charlton had prepared his master plan, and his plan was to play ultra defensive football, not allow opponents to breach your defense, have a very strong, well knit defense lineup, and then wait for the opponent to mount an attack and go for an all out attack and open their citadel, and then on a counter attack you should be able to score goals. Otherwise, forget trying to attack and try to score goals. Draws is what you should try, because even if you get draw and get a point at the end, that may be good enough for you to advance to the knockout. He managed to finish the group stage with 3 draws, couldn't win a single game. He had draws against Egypt, England and Netherlands, and yet his team went through to the knockout stage as a third best team. And there again he played a 0-0 draw against Romania in the pre-quarter final, and still managed to get through because of the tie break. And finally it needed just one goal from Italy. That's what it needed for Italy to win it 1-0 in the quarter final. But then by then they had created history, Republic of Ireland and Jackie Charlton, by reaching the quarter final. And even against formidable Italy team in Italy, they lost only 1-0. So that shows that yes, you may not be able to win a cup or win a match against the world champions, the biggest team, but you can make the contest really thrilling and exciting by having superbly executed strategy, and try to execute your plan as per your strategy, and then try to make it difficult for your opponents to win. By that you can at least make it very exciting, very thrilling, very tight, and give some real anxious moments to your opponents. The same thing had happened in 2004 European Football Championship, where Greece under Otto Regal had managed not only to reach the final, they won the Euro at that year because of again same ultra defensive strategy, and most of the fancy teams could not breach their defense, and then they had to take chances, and then Greece punished them with counter attack by keeping their defense intact, and that's how they won that Euro 2004. Similarly, Pakistan could have had a really shrewd bunch of people having understanding of the difference in the talent and the quality between the two teams, and had taken some master stroke decisions that would have helped them to make this contest really tight. For example, winning the toss and batting on a pitch which is sluggish, which is not very conducive to stroke making, where you are never sure how you should bat to reach a decent total. There, India being without Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, or having anybody who has the ability to play a multidimensional cricket where at some moment they can be anchoring the innings and try to reach a total which would be good enough for them to win. Pakistan should have used that kind of the scenario or understanding of the ground reality to put India into bat, because India has some of the most fabulous cricketers in a T20 team, and they are capable of scoring at 190 to 200 strike rate. And India today is playing a template where 200 is the standard target they chase when they try to set a total or try to go for a batting first approach. So on a pitch like Dubai, where it was maybe 150, 155 kind of a pitch where win could be possible, Pakistan could have put India into bat, and India would have gone hammer and tongs from the beginning. They could have gone for the kitchen sink, and that's where you had the best opportunity to take the wickets, because if Indian batters had taken undue risk, if they had underestimated the Pakistani bowlers, as we saw how Sam Ayub took wickets, and then there was Afridi, there was Nawaz, and then there was Abrar. Then they could have strangulated Indian batting lineup, and Indian batting lineup only is used to play very ruthless attacking style cricket today. So maybe that could have created some nervousness or anxiety among Indian batters, and they might have felt that they were not scoring at enough fast rate, and in the effort to try to reach 190 200, they might have got folded up for 140 130, and that would have given Pakistan the best chance to win this match. But no, they decided to bat first on a sluggish pitch, knowing how Indian batters bat, so they were never sure what should be a decent winning total. They were always going for the unrealistic target, and then also they could have at least tried to pick and choose the bowlers against whom they could have attacked. They knew very well whatever India's bowlers might have done, but Hardik Pandya and Shivam Dube were India's weak links, so they could have tried to attack Hardik Pandya and left Bumrah to bowl his 2 to 3 overs in the first spell. That would have actually helped them to restore parity to some extent, not let the initiative go away, and they would have ended up maybe the power play with just 1 wicket down. And if they had ended up the power play with around 45 for 1, then they could have had a proper strategy against the spinners. There again they could have done some calculation to either wait for Hardik Pandya to come back or Shivam Dube to come back, and try to decide which spinner they could have tried to take a little risk. And also against the spinners like Kuldeep and Varun, they could have tried to rotate the strike and take as many singles and twos possible without taking chances or just without giving wickets, thinking 4 and 6s were all they needed to reach something like 180 total. So there was no strategy, no planning, especially considering they have very little exposure against Indian bowlers in the current scenario. They had played very little against Varun or Kuldeep for that matter in the last few years. So they could have actually tried to be a little conservative, waited for the loose balls, and in the meantime tried to rotate strikes, and by keeping wickets for the last 6-7 overs, they could have really reached a target of 150 to 160, and that would have been actually a pretty good total even if they batted first. First of all, they should not have batted first. Even if they batted first, they knew their middle order is suspect. So their top order, once the first wicket fell, that was also a very very strange way Saim Ayub got out. When you have already 2 dogs out of the last 4 innings, to make it 3 dogs out of 5 was shocking, because the kind of shot he played without settling down, without gauging the pace on the pitch, was surprising. You had 120 balls to face. Why in the first over you have to give away your wicket? You could have taken a little bit of time, and then subsequently losing wicket to Bumrah and then being 2 down for almost nothing. The struggle was already on, the writing was on the wall, and from then on to lose 5 wickets by almost like the end of 7 to 8 overs, it was then the match was almost over. So that's where the problem was there. Pakistan losing to India was always expected. There was nothing surprising about it. The gap in talent, the gap in resources, the gap in the skill set was clearly there. Nothing much could have been done. So the outcome was never in doubt. But what is surprising and shocking is the kind of strategy and planning they had for the game and the way they tried to execute it. And there was absolutely no effort to make it a really uh, planning or strategy oriented game. It looked almost like leaving everything on destiny or God, and just hoping against hope that something would happen and they might be blessed by Almighty to win this game. That can't be an approach in modern professional cricket to win a match, and that's what was shocking and unfortunate for this Pakistan team. But the only bright side to this is that this was a round robin match. They are expected to go through the Super 4 and they are again going to play India. Hopefully they would have had some idea about how the Indian bowlers are bowling. They would have had some idea about how to build the innings against Indian bowling, and they would have had some idea what would be a decent total they should realistically target rather than going for the unrealistic one. And hopefully they would have a better strategy in place, and they would try to execute it in a much more sincere and authentic way, without being completely going haywire. If that happens, they may still end up losing against India, but they would have bridged the gap, and that would give some confidence for the final if they manage to reach against India. So hopefully, from a pure cricketing point of view, one expects matches to be tight, competitive, and that's where you want Pakistan to put up a good fight against India so that one can enjoy the match. Though one is happy for the way one's own team, that is India, is playing, and they look really invincible, and it looks only a miracle can stop India from winning the Asia Cup. Thank you.